And I'd like to introduce Robin Footdale. Robin works with Jamie Schulteis at Marketing Solutions Group. And as you all know, we started with their CP Ads tool and now have the MMS system, which we're using initially to try to sell direct mail services, but the program does a lot more than that. And here to show us how to use it to its full potential, I turn it over to Robin.
All right, well, thank you, and I do apologize, everybody. I know we had to switch the meeting, so I will definitely try to stick with the time frame that we have for the training so that I don't pull you guys longer than you guys were expecting for training. So, and I think we should be able to do that. What I'm going to do, I'm going to start off with is just a quick little video on how data is compiled. And so I'm going to just show you a quick video, and then it's only about a minute, and then we're going to move in and start talking about the MMS system, and I'm going to show you some reports and how to pull some of the data out of the system. So I'm going to go ahead and start this video, and then we'll take a look at the actual.
You take advantage of all kinds of services, social media, free internet search, and more. When you use these services, you're sharing information about yourself with friends, with businesses, while you're out and about, while you're at home. That information is shared and sold within businesses. So on a typical day, you might shop at a store and take advantage of the sale, and your shopping habits may be shared or sold. You might need to fill a prescription, and your prescription history may be shared or sold. You might use a daily coupon app to get a deal at a nearby restaurant, and your location information may be shared or sold. You might visit a news site where you notice an ad for your favorite brand of shoes. It's an online sale, this weekend only, so you buy a pair. And the articles you read and your shoe preferences may be shared or sold. You might log into a social network and see that your friends are filling out an All About Me quiz. You get the quiz app and share your answers, and your quiz responses and profile information may be shared or sold. A regular day. You've taken care of business, used some free services, gotten some good deals, and revealed all kinds of information about yourself. So at the end of the day, the question is, who has your information? And where is it going next?
Okay, so I just wanted to show that quick video because it's a good video to kind of segment into what MMS is. And it is a consumer database. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to walk through just a little background on what the MMS database is. We're going to talk a little bit about it. And then I'm going to log into the system and show you how to pull kind of profiles and information out of the system, how to get some count information, and really what's there and available to you.
Robin, just want to interject that I have muted everyone, and that way, why don't you go through the training, and then we'll do Q&A at the end, okay?
Oh, sure.
Okay.
So that video is a good segmentation because what it shows is how your information is compiled. So everything that you do, whether or not it's making a purchase, if it's doing something online, if you're filling out a survey, if you're sending in a warranty card, that type of information is really how demographic data is compiled. And so the MMS system, as Dennis mentioned, you guys have CP Ads. So it's, in a way, it's sort of similar to CP Ads, except it's all the consumers in your market. So with CP Ads, you have all the businesses, and then we tell you who's currently advertising with you and who's not. And on the consumer end, or on the MMS system, it's going to be all the households in your market, and then we're going to tell you who's a subscriber and who's not a subscriber. So it's updated just as CP Ads is, except it's going to be consumer data. So it's going to be household level demographic data. We get a subscriber file that gets updated from you. So we actually get a file that gets sent to us that tells us who's currently subscribing with you today. And then we have the consumer level demographic data, which comes from Experian. So Experian is the company that's providing the demographic information. Their data is updated quarterly. The I also showed on the screen the different counties that you have. So you have actually about 7 different counties of data that's in your MMS system. So I just like for you to be aware of that so you know how much information is there. And then also just some information about, and that's where we watched that little video, on how data is compiled. You know, they're going to compile data from the county assessor's office. They're going to compile data from self-reported information, things like surveys and warranty cards. And they're also going to compile some data based on purchases, you know, that you might have made through catalogs or over the internet or in particular retail stores. And that's ultimately where Experian is going to take that information, and then they're going to bring it over, and then we're going to bring it over into your MMS system. So what that does for you is it allows you to be able to go in and you can pull information related to income, length of residence. You can pull by age, interests, things like if somebody is a dog enthusiast, if they have an interest in travel. There's also going to be mosaic data, which is going to be your lifestyle segmentations. And I just put up a quick little screen on just a snapshot of what that looks like. And we're going to look at some examples of this as well in the system. But every household is going to be put into a particular lifestyle segmentation. There's 19 of them with 71 little subcategories. So you'll see on the screen, if we're looking at something like flourishing families, they're going to be affluent households, they're going to be middle-aged families, couples earning prosperous incomes, living very comfortable, active lifestyles. Booming with confidence is going to be established couples in their peak earning years, living in suburban homes. So that's going to be part of the data as well. And every household is going to be put into a particular lifestyle segmentation, and they're put into those segmentations based off of the information that Experian has on those homes. So they're looking at things like, what's their income? Where's their house located? What kind of interests do they have? How old are they? How long have they lived in their home? You know, there's information in the database related to what type of mortgage loan do they have. There's so much detail in the system, and so that's what the MMS database is really designed to do, is to be able to allow you to look at your market and see common characteristics across not only just the subscriber information, but also use it on the advertising side. So when you're working with an advertiser and you know, they're looking to target particular types of households, you'll be able to use the MMS database to identify those types of households and identify counts and be able to tell them, you know, there's 3,000 households that, you know, match whatever criteria it is that they're particularly looking for. So we have the update from your billings or from your subscriber file, and then we have the update that comes from Experian. And one of the key uses out of the database, which we're going to talk a lot about in the system, and I'm going to show that to you in the MMS database, is profiling. Profiling is a great way to use the system, and it is a great way to use the system, especially when you're working with your advertisers. What profiling allows you to do is pull a very simple report that just gives you counts by demographics. So if you do have an advertiser that's interested in a particular zip code, or they're interested in a particular county, you can go into the system, you can pull a summary level report for that county, and you can quickly identify and let them know how many households you know, match the criteria that they're looking for. The other thing that's really exciting about the MMS system is you can also take lists and add them to MMS and profile. And a list could be something like an advertiser customer list. So if you have an advertiser that you're working with and they share their customer list with you, we can add it to the system. And then what that allows you to do is be able to go in and pull a profile of their actual customers and then identify for them lookalike characteristics. So if they're deciding to either, if they're going to do additional print advertising, if they're going to do direct mail, whatever the case is, you can provide them those common characteristics that are shared of their current customers today, so you can help them with a marketing program to get new customers that look like their current customers. The profile gives you information, again, on the income, the marital status, the interests like the fitness level or travel interest, or if they're pet enthusiasts. So there is a lot of really good, exciting data that's in there, and we'll take a look at all of that and pull that type of information. I am going to actually go over to your MMS system now, and we're going to take a look at the database, and I'm going to go ahead and log in, and then we're going to kind of go through the different reports and also the lifestyle segmentation information that's available as well in the system. When you log into the database, you have your own, I believe everybody's set up to have their own username and password to access the system. It's a web-based tool just like CPAds is, so as long as you have your username and password, you can get into the database and you can pull counts and you can pull profiles. The very first page that you will see is going to give you kind of a snapshot of your MMS system. What that means is that we're going to tell you the last time the site was updated. We're going to tell you the last time that you personally logged into the system. We're going to tell you how many consumer records you have available. That's the total number of records that you've purchased from Experian. We're going to tell you a subscriber count that we're getting over, and then a match rate as well. And what that match rate means to you is that 82% of your subscribers are matched to demographic data. That means we've been able to take 82% of your subscribers and link them to some information from Experian. So it could be income information, interest data. We never have a 100% match rate. There's always going to be households that just don't match to the file. The Experian file is not a saturation list, so they're only going to have data on occupied homes. Also, if you have subscribers that are outside of your purchased market, then we have nothing to match them to. And sometimes, like, rural neighborhoods are hard for us to match, but your match rate is solid. We always want to see it in the 80th percentile, and that's a good match rate for your MMS system. But that's what that's telling you when you log in and you see that, is it's just letting you know how well your subscribers are matched to demographic data. You'll also have several tabs across the top of your screen when you log in, and we're going to go through a couple of them and look at some reports that are available in the database. One of the reports we're going to take a look at is called Analysis. And this is actually the profiling tool. So you'll often hear us say, oh, you can use the profiler for that. And whenever we say that to you, especially if you're talking to us on the phone or in a training, you hear the word profiler, you can use what we're referring to as the tab that's called Analysis. When you get to this tab, what it's designed to do is to allow you to pull a very quick profile of either a list that you've uploaded into the MMS system or any segment of your market, so by county, by zip code, or by city. And when you get to the analysis tool, you'll notice right away that you're asked about geography, and we're going to have zip code, city, and county that are listed there. And all you need to do here is if you hit zip, you'll see your zip codes will appear on the right. Same thing with city and county. And whenever you're pulling a profile, you just need to make the selection on what you'd like to do. So do you want to just look at an entire county? If you only want to look at one particular zip code, then you'll select that zip code. And you can choose multiple. All you have to do is click on it with your mouse. So you don't have to hold the control key down or anything like that. You just simply select on the area that you want to run. And so I'm going to go ahead and just run this one county. And once I've made that county selection, the next step is just to hit Run Report that's in the bottom right-hand side of the screen. So there's not a lot of buttons to push. It's really what geography do you want to profile and then pulling the report. Once it pulls, it's an automatic report that's pulled for you. And what it's going to include here is it's going to tell you, it's going to start off with home ownership. And basically it's breaking down your market and it's telling you by subscriber and non-subscribers where your households are falling. And it starts off with home ownership. So the first thing you're going to see is a subscriber chart. And it's going to indicate, where your subscribers are falling by home ownership. So obviously the majority of them are falling into the homeowner category, which is the green part of the chart. And then we're also going to have a non-subscriber area as well, which we're going to show you where your non-subscribers are falling. And then there's going to be a third tab that's called Data. And this is going to give you your actual counts. So what we're doing here is we're showing you, we're going to show you the codes over on the left, and then we're going to give you the information broken out. So by market percent, what that tells you is for the county that I pulled, what percent of households fall into each category, the total number of households, how many are subscribing, how many are not subscribing, and then we're also going to provide you an index on the right-hand side. And you will see this breakdown for each demographic that we have. So it moves on to marital status. Then there's the income information that you'll see. And again, you'll have all three options to choose from. The index is actually showing you your market penetration. So the higher numbers are going to be those where you have the highest market penetration. So if you're looking at income, for example, you can see that the numbers get larger when you start off around $75,000 and higher. You'll see those indexes are larger, on the larger end, which is going to mean that those are going to be your highest market penetration for the income level. And that's, again, related to your subscribers. This report's also going to give you presence of children, so it's going to tell you, 0 to 7 children in the household. We're going to give you some information on if a household responds to direct mail pieces, and if they have information on either single or multiple times that they've bought something through a direct mail piece. If they have a home business in their house, if we know about that. There is going to be ethnicity data in here. So again, we're letting you know number of households by each ethnicity. There's religion data in here. So you can go in here and you can see the different religions that Experian has. And again, they're going to break down your subscribers versus your non-subscribers. There's going to be education information. They also have some information related to, if they think the household is, either very likely or not as likely to be in the market for a new auto, so a new car. So they're going to provide that as well, again, giving you the subscriber versus the non-subscriber. They even have it narrowed down to used auto. And then you have the age data. And then we get down into the mosaic information and then the interest data. So there is quite a bit of information that's on the profile, but this is all so excellent. And you can provide this type of information to an advertiser. So even if they don't have a customer list to share with you, but they know that the majority of their customers are in a particular zip code or a set of zip codes or a particular county, and you want to be able to give them some information on that particular area, this is an excellent report to do so because it shows you all the different demographics broken out by the counts. And there's so much that's available there. The mosaic data, which I'm showing on the screen, these are going to be their lifestyle segmentation. There's going to be several different options that are in here, and I'm just going to kind of go to the data tab because I think it's easier to read through the data tab. And we're going to show you all the different segmentations. And again, we're going to tell you, how many households are falling into each group. You will notice that there is a little information icon button that's next to each one. So if you scroll over it, it'll let you know. In this case, full pockets, empty nests. These are empty nesting, upper middle class households. And then if you go down to fast track couples, they're active, they're young, they're upper middle class, suburban couples, families living in upwardly mobile lifestyles. So you'll see these kind of quick little descriptions. Again, every household is put into a particular lifestyle segmentation, and they're put into those segmentations based off the information that Experian has on the home. So things like the income level, do they have children present in their home? Where's their household located? So really looking at the neighborhood of where they're located. They're looking at surrounding households as well, information that they know on those households, and then they're going to put that household into a particular group based off of that information that they have. So this is another really good way to be able to segment the houses in your market and be able to target based off of these lifestyle segmentations. The database also has interest data. And this is what I find this very interesting. A lot of this comes from warranty cards, surveys, purchases. But what we're going to tell you is if a household has a confirmed interest in a particular category. So for example, there's cats and dogs that are listed in here. There's fitness, there's gardening, home decorating. There is if they're an online subscriber, if they have interest in the outdoors, if they have interest in reading. And all of these interest categories are, especially good, especially if you're working with an advertiser, because, obviously if it's a home furnishing store, you could use some of these interest categories as a way to target, for them to target new potential customers, because you could actually target based off of these interest categories. What I'm going to do now is I'm actually going to show you another way to pull a profile, and that's actually pulling a list instead of pulling just any piece of your geography. So we're going to take a look at that next. If you want to pull an actual list, so again, if an advertiser gives you an advertiser customer list, other lists that you could add to the MMS system could be something like online registration. It could be contest entries, anything like that. Anything where you have a consumer address, because that's what we're going to match on, is going to be a household address. Those are the types of lists that can be added to your MMS database. So if you do have something like an advertiser customer list, it gets added to the system. What you would do in that case is, instead of choosing the geography, you would actually go down to list comparison, and you would choose the list. And you'll get a drop-down menu of any lists that have been added to the database. You can choose a list, and then you can run the profile. The other option that you have in the profiling tool as well is something that's called Market Summary, and it defaults to no, but there's a question of yes, or an answer of yes, that you can also select. What that does is that actually takes away the subscriber versus the non-subscriber count. In some cases, that may not be as important in a presentation that you might be making related to counts. So for example, if you were working with a business and they wanted to see, they wanted either a profile of their current customer list, or they just wanted a profile of a particular county or a set of zip codes, if you choose yes here, what it will do is just give you a total count instead of breaking out how many are a subscriber and how many are a non-subscriber. So that kind of depends on, again, what you're profiling and kind of what you're looking to get out of that profile. So if you choose yes here and then run the report, what it will do is it will pull up the profile for you. It won't break out the subscriber versus the non-subscriber. When you do a list profile, it will do, one thing that it will do is it will give you still your market information first before giving you your actual list information. So very similar to the very first profile we see. If I run a profile for history, which in this case is your former subscribers, what that's going to do in the system is it's first going to give me a market chart, which is my entire market, and it's going to tell me where all of the households in my market are falling. You're going to have that data tab, and again, it's going to give you your breakdowns on the left, and it's going to give you your total. And remember, I did the market summary of yes, meaning I didn't want to see subscriber versus non-subscriber in this example. And then you're going to get a third tab that's called history, and that's the list you're profiling. So if this was, Robin's Furniture Store, and that's how you labeled the list and you were pulling yourself a profile, you would see that on this tab. It would say Robin's Furniture Store, whatever the name of the list is. And then you'll also have a chart as well for the list. So when you're looking at a list profile, what we're showing you is we're going to tell you, in this case, the market base total, which means your entire market, where the households are falling. And then we're going to tell you on that particular list how many households per option under home ownership. So for example, with renter, in your entire market there's 7,753 renters. On the list that you're profiling, there's 1,076. And then we're also going to provide you an index as well on the last column. So it has a very similar feel to doing a regular profile, except it's a little bit different because we're profiling a specific list, not just a portion of your market. The other thing to remember with the when you're profiling a list is that the index changes a little bit. When you're just profiling a zip code or a county or a city all by itself, the index is actually providing you market penetration. So it's telling you, again, the larger numbers are going to be the areas that you have the highest market penetration within that demographic. When you're profiling a list, the index is actually a lookalike index, which means it's trying to show you areas that are skewing higher than the market that should be considered a lookalike. Anything over 120 is considered a lookalike characteristic. What that means is that if you were profiling an advertiser customer list, and I'm looking at this file, what I want to do is I want to highlight the areas that are over 120. What that means is these are lookalike characteristics, which means these are common characteristics that are shared for that advertiser's customer list. And you want to highlight those because if you're presenting back to an advertiser, those are the areas that you're going to want to highlight to them. If they're looking to get new customers, those are the areas they're going to want to focus on. If they're finding that the majority of their customers all have a household income of over $100,000 a year, maybe they're falling into specific lifestyle segmentations, they typically have children in the home, they might have a common home value that you might find in the data. That's the information that you want to go in and you want to highlight for them so that when they're trying to target new customers, you can use those demographics to help them find customers that look like their current customers today. So again, that demographic index is going to be something that you would want to highlight, especially if you were doing any kind of a profile for an advertiser.
So Robin, let me just chime in here real quick because we've used this feature elsewhere, and typically we would be willing to sign a non-disclosure agreement that makes the advertiser feel comfortable that we're not going to take their list of customers and share it with competitors or
Yes.
et cetera. And so what would happen is, I don't know, Robin, if you can provide one, but I'll create one that we'll give to our reps.
No,
And
we have one. We can
oh, you do?
actually send you one. Mm-hmm.
Okay, great. And
We do
then
have one.
we get it as an Excel spreadsheet. We send it to Marketing Solutions Group. They will do this analysis. And as Robin said, the power of it is that we're showing them what their customers look like because they don't have the Experian data. And then by using the lookalike feature, we'll find other people in their market that look like the people that are already shopping them, and that leverages us into selling them into our products and services.
And really, you become their marketing company. If you have an advertiser that you can do this for, this is a really, this is amazing information that you can provide them. So I'll get a copy of that non-disclosure agreement over to you, Dennis, so you have a copy of it. And then, like I said, anytime that you add a list to the system, you can always pull these profiles. There is no limit to how many profiles you're allowed to pull in a month or anything like that out of MMS. So, we certainly encourage you to get, if you have an advertiser that has a list and they want to share it, we can certainly get it added into MMS. And again, there's no limit to how many, advertiser lists you can add to the system. We're going to take a look at a couple other items in the MMS system. So, we looked at the profiling tool. Again, either you can profile just any segment of your market, or you can actually profile an additional list that you add to the system. I'm going to show you a few other options that you have in the database that will help you if you're trying, especially if you're trying to kind of get a count of information. So under counts and lists, there are two options. There's something that's called by demographics, and there's an option called by radius. By demographics should be used to get kind of count information. So let's say that you do a presentation to an advertiser, you do a profile, you provide that information to them, you let them know that, maybe the majority of their customers have a particular income, they have, common certain interests that they're all sharing, they might be falling into a particular lifestyle segmentation. All of that information is great on the profiling tool, and you can see it all broken out, and you can see all your different counts and everything that's there. But sometimes what you need to do is actually build a count that does a combination of all that data. So you can actually see, how many households share all of those types of characteristics. And that's what by demographics allows you to do. So the profile gives you that overall summary of a list or a piece of your market. By demographics allows you to create a unique count. So if they did say, I want to focus on a particular set of zip codes. I want to focus on single-family homes. I want them to have a particular income, and I want to know how many households in total in your market match that. This is a good report to use for that because it just provides you a quick count. There's 1,500. There's 500. Again, it works really similar to what we just saw, meaning that you'll have your geography first, and you can run by zip code, you can run by city, there's county, there's postal carrier route that's in here. You can choose multiple zip codes, so you can kind of go in and choose the ones that you want. Then you can move down to demographics, and this is where you can kind of cross-reference demographics. So I can say, I want these 4 zip codes, but I only want single-family homes. And so you go to dwelling type, you choose single family, and now you've limited to only single-family homes in those 4 zip codes. And then you might say something like, the advertiser may say, and I also want them to have over $75,000 as a household income. So you can go down to that option, and you can choose those. And you can keep adding filters, based on whatever has been decided from that advertiser on what they want to focus on. So if they also want to focus on education, you can go down to education and you can choose the options that you want there. If they're wanting to focus on households with children and they want the children to be of a certain age, you can go in and you can choose that option as well. If you're looking, if they have an option in here, and if the home has a swimming pool, and you'll have a yes or an unknown as a choice. As I mentioned, there's a few things in here related to mortgage. So there's mortgage rate type, whether it's fixed or it's a variable. Mortgage term in months, so whether they have a mortgage and how many months their mortgage is set at. Mortgage loan type, so if it's a conventional, if it's an FHA. There is the gender information that's in here. So again, any of these options, you can use a combination of that to build a list or to build a count. And then once you've made your selection, so if I want to see right now how many households in total fit this, then all you have to do is go down to the bottom and just hit Get Count. And all it will do is it'll populate a number for you, and then you would know what that count is. And it does take a couple minutes to load because it's going to kind of go through all the different selections that you've made, and then it's going to produce a number. So I know right away that there's 4,777 households that fit that. And you can continue to add filters. So if that number is too high or it's too low, you can easily go right back up and you can make another selection. So if I also want to make sure that I'm only getting households that have an interest in dogs, I can go to the interest categories, I can choose dogs, and I can hit Get Counts again, and it refreshes that count total. Now I'm down to 1,003.
Robin, let me interject. This is the area that we looked at last week as we prepared to do some direct mail marketing. And so because you can't see all of the selections made, MMS has provided a checklist that I will put together in a document so that once you do this and you come up with a count, you can check off what you've selected, and then I will download the mailing list and send it back to FindSheet to mail the postcard to that list. We do not give the address list out to anyone. It is something we lease. We don't own it. And so obviously we don't want to give that information out to clients. So that will be the process. I'm just waiting on Fine Sheet to give me deadlines and so forth, and I'll have that out to you. So this particular area we did play around with a bit last week, Robin.
Okay. And the other thing I also just want to bring up to you as well, just because I think this is a really important piece of information to know, especially if you are producing a count and you're just kind of wanting to see how many households are out there. There is an option in here that's called address quality code. What this is a code that lets you know if the house has been confirmed with delivery point verification. So you'll see in here that there's something like phone only, or it's marginal, or it's satisfactory, or it's excellent. What this does is this helps you to eliminate returns if you do go through the process of, as Dennis said, filling out the sheet and then actually ordering a mailing list or putting together an actual list after you've gotten a count. This is a very good piece of information to use, and you would definitely want to use this kind of to just make sure you're getting the most excellent addresses to mail to, because that's going to help to eliminating kind of returns once you get to that point. So just kind of to be aware so that when you're looking through these, the different options that are there. And you also have at the very bottom, you have filters on whether or not you only want subscribers, if you only want non-subscribers, or if you want both. So you'll want to make sure that you're looking at that information as well when you're looking at a count. And then as far as formers, this is just adding filters on if they were a former subscriber. In a lot of cases, this may not matter. If you're looking at an advertiser and they're just wanting to target households, whether they subscribe or not, then you don't need to make a selection from here because it defaults to everybody. But there are some options. Only formers means that they are a former subscriber, and only non-formers means that they're a never ever. So just kind of keep that in mind when you're looking at the filters. And then one other option that you have in here too is called the radius report. And this actually uses a Google map, very similar to if that you have in CP ads, except that these are households. So again, if you have an advertiser and they're wanting to target specific households within a radius of their location, this is a very good way to get that type of count. So for example, if you have their address, you can type in their location. You can hit search. The system will come back and it will just say, is this exactly the address you're looking for? You'll hit go to. And then if you scroll down to the very bottom, again, just like CP ads, you'll have your radius distance, so you can put in, a mile, for example. And what this will do is it'll give you your total record count in the bottom left corner. And also, like CP ads, if you don't have a specific address, you can also just take the red balloon and drag and drop it and also draw your radius. So another way to get a count number, especially if it's something that's particularly related to the location. This is where my store is, and I want to know how many households are surrounding, are around us in a mile. The other thing too is if you're looking for something more specific, let's say that you have an advertiser and they say, I want every household that's within 2 miles of my location. I want to make sure they have a particular income. I want to make sure that they have children in the home. I want to, any of those demographics. We can pull that type of custom report for you, or that type of custom count for you out of the system. We do it for our customers all the time. There's no charge for it. All you have to do is just tell us, this is the location. They want a radius of, this surrounding it, and they only want households that fit this demographic. How many households do match that? We can pull that for you. It's very quick for us to pull something like that for you. Also, if it's not an exact circle radius, you have an advertiser that kind of has more of a polygon shape. They don't really want to go past this street in one direction, and they don't want to go past another street in a different direction, so it's not exact, 1 mile all the way around their location. We can do that too. And again, no charge for that. If you have an advertiser really has a kind of specific look that they're area that they're looking for, and demographic that they're looking for, all you have to do is let us know that, and we can pull that count for you. Again, it's pretty quick for us to do something like that. You just have to kind of give us, what all the background on the boundaries and the geographic and demographic boundaries. The next thing I want to show, and this is really the last area that I'm going to focus on in the system, there is an option in here that's called Mosaic. And I want to show this because, as I mentioned on the profile, you have that mosaic graph that shows where you can see which lifestyle segmentation a household goes into. Also, on the by demographics report, if you're going in and you're trying to pull yourself a count, you're going to have those mosaics in there as well to choose from, and you'll see them going down. They go from the most affluent to the least affluent. You'll have those little information icons that give you that really quick definition of what the lifestyle segmentation is. You can also access the lifestyle segmentation directly from MMS. There is a tab called Mosaic. And what this does is it actually links to the Experian Mosaic interactive guide. And you can go into it and you can find out more information about a particular lifestyle segmentation. So when you get to this page, it automatically starts off with Group A, which is the Power Elite. These are the wealthiest households in the United States. They're living in the most exclusive neighborhoods. And it goes all the way down. You'll see the 19 Mosaic lifestyle segmentations, the letters on the left-hand side. So if you go down to H, for example, middle-class melting pot, mid-scale, middle-age, established couples living in the suburban and fringe homes. They're going to have, you'll see these different tabs across the screen. So there's imagery, so you can kind of see pictures of what these households typically look like, streetscapes. You're going to see, kind of mapping in the United States. Again, high, above average. So there's a lot, a lot of good detail here. But what also is nice about this is that if you look over here on the left, you'll see key traits. And you'll see, middle-aged couples with families. They have some kind of information about them. And as you kind of go back through and you're looking at, these different tabs, you'll notice that this information over here on the left changes. And then they're also going to tell you kind of who these people are. So if you go to Data Insights, for example, on the left-hand side, it's going to give you some information, some insights on who this particular category is. So who we are. There'll be a drop-down of female or male. You'll see if you kind of select on it, you can, head of household. If you select that, then it shows you the age brackets, and then it's going to show you the index, where it's higher on the index, so it's going to show you kind of the age information. If it's on the low side or the high side, it's really kind of a lot of, it's very interesting to be able to go through and see this type of information. You can kind of look at, do they have children in the household? If they're skewing kind of on the, what side they're skewing on, whether they have children or not, where they live. So again, kind of types of year their properties were built. So it kind of shows you how old or new their properties are, typically people that are in this particular type of group. So there's all different types of kind of questions that are in here, how we live our lives, magazines, for example. It shows the different types of magazines that they're skewing towards. Newspapers, the different types of newspapers that they're skewing towards. So it's obviously there's a lot of data that's on here, but this is kind of an interesting way to be able to look at the particular lifestyle segmentations. So especially if you're working with an advertiser and they're kind of wanting to know more information on those lifestyle segmentations, this is a good way for you to be able to kind of link into that information and be able to pull some, kind of information about that particular category. We also have the Mosaic data in kind of PDF forms as well that gives you definitions for each category. There's really detailed definitions and then kind of summary level definitions. And I'm not sure, Dennis, if you have all of that already, but if you don't, let me know and I can send it over to you.
Yeah, I will need that. And
Okay.
the benefit of using Mosaic is that there's a concept known as birds of like feathers flock together, meaning that generally speaking, you look like your neighbors, particularly when you get into subdivisions where you all tend to have sort of similar characteristics. And so rather than going through a detailed filter, if you know that your client wants to reach yuppies, you could just go in and select the yuppie mosaic, and the filter is already built for you, and that it saves you time in terms of building the filter out. And in a lot of cases, when the clients describe to you who they're trying to reach, you'll probably be able to find a mosaic that fits that very easily. And as you could see, you could provide a lot of information and quickly have a count and or show them how many of them subscribe, how many of them don't subscribe, what they like to do. So it is a real quick way to build that list and do the analysis.
And Dennis, I'll send over those. There's a couple different pamphlets. There's one that's really detailed that gives a lot of definition, and then a more summary level definition of the segmentations. And I will email that over to you right after the call.
Okay, so I believe that was your last section, Robin. I'm going to unmute everyone and ask or open the floor up for questions. This, as you can see, is a very powerful tool. Just like with CP Ads, it helps us find leads of businesses that we can call on. We now have the sister tool where we can go into our markets and find out household specific data by various ways that Robin just showed you. It looks like you might want to cover one other thing, Robin, before I turn it loose.
All I wanted to do is just let everybody know that we also offer monthly trainings on the MMS system where we talk about kind of best practices and how people are using the database. We have the client support just like you do with CP Ads. So again, any time that we can help you, you have an advertiser interested in looking at a particular type of household, if we can help with any, gathering any kind of information from MMS, we're always available to do that. And we also have that live chat feature is in MMS just like it is in CP Ads. So, all that same stuff stays the same. It's just, a different database of information. And that's the end. So I love to take questions.
Okay, let's open it up. What do you guys think? Questions on how to use it or ideas, comments? Robin obviously has been providing the training, and she also does on-site training just like Jamie does, and so has been to quite a few media companies to help them use this to generate revenue.
Robin, quick question on that best practices. Are you 2 hours ahead of us? So if you're offering it at 3 your time, it's at 5 our time or 4 our time?
It's at 4 your time.
Okay.
We're Central Time Zone. I'm in New Mexico, so I'm actually 2 hours behind you, but our trainings are Central Time. So you could definitely be seeing my clock in the bottom right corner of my screen, and that's going to be a little bit different than the real time. But our trainings are at 4 Eastern.
Gotcha. Thank you.
And also, we can do additional trainings as well that, if there's a point where you have a group of people and that time really doesn't work and you have a group of people that want to go over a particular type of, topic, we record all the trainings and we can always do additional web-based trainings too.
Okay.
Other questions, comments?
Yeah, I think it's just going to be a matter of us getting in there and doing it, and then we'll probably have tons of questions.
Yeah, and I use the chat now feature quite a bit when I'm in CP Ads, and it works out quite well. Robin, when we do the analysis where we get the charts, I can't remember, was there somebody's dog's barking? Was there a way to download that as a PDF so that we could pop it into a PowerPoint slideshow or anything?
There is a PDF download that's on there.
Okay.
Here, I'll bring up the profile real quick on the screen. It's pretty quick to pull up. In the upper right corner of the presentation, there's a PDF and there's an Excel download. The PDF includes the charts, and the Excel just includes the count information. Okay. So if you're making a presentation and you want to show an advertiser just the count data, and you do that Excel download, it just takes all those demographics and just shows you again, the count by subscriber versus non-subscriber in the index. And if you do the PDF option, it also does the counts, but it includes the graphs on it too. And so you'll have the count information, and then if you keep going down on the report, you'll get your graphs too.
So for those of you using AdMall, after you pull the presentation together, you might find a report or a chart in here that would make sense to add to your AdMall presentation as well. Okay, if there aren't any other questions, comments, I'm going to stop the recording.